Caught in the crossfire. Caught in the...
What's up, guys? Lance the Obscure Movie Guy coming to you once again with another fun-filled, fact-filled video that you probably won't care about, but we're going to do it anyways, trying to change the world one post at a time. And today I'm talking to you about a creature feature like none other, with its own cinematic universe. Today we're going to be talking about 2023's The Bogman.
Charles Williams wanted a new start for his family. An unexpected inheritance from a reclusive uncle is just the sign he's been waiting for. The universe has bestowed onto Charles a vast property, an influx of cash, and an insatiable urge to think positive. So Charles has uprooted his crew and they are moving to a town of opportunities. Mountain Bend, Arkansas. A touristy burg with a fascination for and an economy tied to the tales of the Bogman in the forest.
We welcome the notoriety. We do not mind one bit being called the Bigfoot town.
What do you guys think? This is it? New place?
But as Charles and his family will soon learn, questions and curiosity will be all they have left.
That was it! Look, we can talk about all that, but we gotta get inside. We gotta secure a crime scene.
Well, gents, if we were gonna move, now's the time to do so.
The investigation leads the local officials, the family, and the TV crew to a shocking discovery.
I don't know what that means or what this means, but I mean, Sheriff, say something.
I mean, I've heard all the stories, but this can't be true. I can't believe it.
Wow.
We can't write a report that says 2 men were killed by a Sasquatch. It create chaos. The town would lose their mind.
Bigfoot is real, and he's really pissed off. The Bogman.
The Bogman was written by Chris Pinkston and Mitch Lang, and then directed by Mitch Lang. Tells the story of a family that inherits an old farmhouse in a backwoods country style town that is synonymous with its Bogman sightings. If you're not familiar with Bogman, it's another term for Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Deep in the woods of Louisiana. Now, the first 3 minutes of this film is actually complete with commercials. But they're commercials for the reality within the Bogman film itself. It gives a very Tropic Thunder type feel. If you ever watched Tropic Thunder, you know that there's fake trailers leading into the movie of Tropic Thunder. That's kind of what you're getting here. You're getting some adverts about some Bogman products that do live within the reality of the Bogman cinematic universe. It's actually pretty clever the way they did it. You know, once you get through the adverts, they do kind of correlate with Chasing Bogman, which is a show within the movie itself. Again, very cleverly written. The Chasing Bogman show does become a very pivotal plot point within the film, but they also use it as a good job of like breaking in and out of reality of the Bogman movie itself. So pretty well done. Very entertaining. The Chasing Bogman might be more entertaining than the actual movie itself, and that's not a knock against the Bogman. It's just Chasing Bogman is supposed to be a caricature of other shows that are similar like that you would find on like sci-fi with like Ghost Hunters or Ghost Hunters International or Destination Truth with Josh Gates. All very good shows. But the main plot is this new family moving into town that inherited the farmland that was left to the characters by the character's dead uncle. You know, and there's a lot of mystery around the farmland in and of itself. You know, Bogman sightings, the show Chasing Bogman going out there. And the townsfolk seem to know more than what the people moving into the home know, and they act kind of weird about, you know, new people coming to town and stuff of that nature. And you get little sprinkles and a little bit of foreshadowing of what could be going on. But the family in and of itself, you're kind of left in the same type of ambiguity that they are. Now, around the 25-minute mark, we finally get our first glimpse of the Bogman himself. Um, but it's not so late into the movie that you forget what you're watching. The whole film revolves around Bogman sightings, the show chasing Bogman, in the whole town inside the movie. The whole town itself kind of revolves around this Bogman mystery. So it's kind of cool that, you know, even though you don't see him and he's not prevalent throughout the first act of the film, like his presence is kind of known because everybody's talking about it or learning about it, something of that capacity. And then when you finally get your first glimpse of it, you're like, okay, I can kind of see where this is going. It's also pretty interesting that they used modern day folklore of the Bogman and actual recounted stories from some of the people inside of this town in and of itself. Part of the filming was done in a town that is synonymous with Bogman in Louisiana. So that's kind of cool that they used some of those real stories that people have, you know, witnessed the Bogman, put it into the film, also put it into the chasing Bogman scenarios as well. A lot of effort went into this film. It's pretty cleverly done. Now, I don't want to give too much away in the way of the plot because the plot is actually part of a much larger plot. Overall, as we said, it is the BCU, the Bogman Creature Universe. This is a cinematic universe that Mitch Lang has come up with that has a multitude of films that all don't necessarily, they're not exact sequels to one another, but there are certain plot points that do correlate with one another through some of the films. It's not an overall encompassing storyline like, say, the MCU, like Marvel's Avengers. But you do see, when you start watching some of the other films that Mitch Lang has done, you do see some recurring characters, some recurring storylines, references to the other movies. You know, hey, I ran into this in Louisiana with the Bogman, or I need Dr. Benjamin to come and investigate, you know, these mermaid sightings. So it's not exactly an overall encompassing one giant storyline played out over multiple movies, but the films that he has done, they all do have little small correlations with one another that you can kind of pick up on. But again, I don't want to give too much away in the way of the plot because some of those plot points do come up in other films, and I want people to go see the movie, and I want people to go see the BCU, the Bogman Creature Universe. Now, for the most part, like I said, the movie's pretty entertaining. It does run a bit long. Despite its long runtime, though, the pacing's actually pretty good. I was easily 45 minutes into this film, and even though not a lot had necessarily happened, the pacing was pretty good, and the movie itself is engaging, so you don't feel like it's that long of a film. Now, there are some scenes that do feel like they do run a couple of minutes too long, and they probably could have been trimmed down a little bit to shorten that overall runtime. But roughly, it's coming up on roughly 2-hour runtime. But again, the pacing's pretty good, so you don't necessarily feel it all the time. But again, there are some scenes that could be trimmed just a little bit. As far as the production quality goes, most of it's pretty good. There is some audio issues. There's some clear audio dubbing. There's some ADR issues. There's some dubbed lines. So there is a few audio issues throughout the course of the film. They're few and far in between. And then there was also some use of like some visual effects as far as like the film graining goes. I guess they were trying to give it like an old school VHS type feel in certain areas. Wasn't real sure why that was, and it didn't always correlate as if it was like the camera being used inside of the film, like as far as like Chasing Bogman goes. It didn't always correlate with like the Chasing Bogman TV show. It was just kind of there once in a while. So that was kind of weird too. But overall, I mean, the creature itself looks pretty good. I like the special effects. The special effects are ridiculous, and they're meant to be. Between the special effects and the not so great acting from some of the characters, it gives it a perfect B movie charm that you can't ignore, and it's exactly what it's intended to be. It's a beautiful, beautiful B movie. Overall, I think Mitch Lang did a pretty good job bringing this together. It's a perfect B movie. It's a horror comedy more than it is a straight horror film. The Bogman looks pretty good. Some of the special effects are ridiculous, but they're done that way with intent. There is a lot of blood in some areas, and it just seems ridiculous. And it's got a B movie charm, like I said, that you just can't ignore. It's a lot of fun to watch. and I'm looking forward to seeing more of the BCU. Now, I've only been able to catch 2 of the films. I'm only reviewing the one right this second. There's going to be another review coming for the other film. But he's got a multitude of things, and he's continuously working on more and more films that do kind of correlate with this whole BCU thing, like we talked about. So I think Mitch is doing some really cool things. He's a really interesting guy to talk to. He does put a lot of effort into the folklore. Like I said, part of it was, modern folklore. Part of it is recounted actual stories of eyewitnesses that say that they've seen the Bogman. Part of this was filmed in a town in Louisiana that is synonymous with the Bogman. And that type of mentality goes with the other films that he's done. I'm not going to give too much away in what else he's got coming down the pipeline, but there is another movie that he's done or doing where they filmed on a real battleship. That's freaking cool. And again, a lot of effort goes into trying and pull stuff like that off, especially when you're a small independent project like that. So I commend Mitch for what he's doing. He seems to be having a lot of fun doing it, which I think is what is probably the most important. You can see the fun, you can see the heart coming through this film. You just know that this cast and crew had a good time doing this. You can see Mitch's intent with what he's trying to pull off. He could probably polish a couple things here and there, but I wouldn't want him to do too much to try and make the movie too serious, because I want it to stay horror comedy. I want the BCU to stay, very much, B movie oriented. I want it to keep its B movie charm. So, Mitch, don't stop doing what you're doing. I really enjoyed this film. I'm looking forward to the other ones that are coming down the pipeline, plus the other one that you did send me, and I will get to that one, I promise. I know this one took me a little while to get to. I am just backlogged really bad. But guys, go check out The Bogman from 2023 with Mitch Lang. Like, subscribe, and comment to my YouTube channel. Check me out on Facebook and Instagram. I'll see everybody in the next video.